Good evening, everyone. Happy Friday. I hope you guys had a great trading session today. This is a daily update video for Friday, January 19th. If you missed that live stream, I will link that up in the iCards. As you can see towards the bottom of the screen, my gross profit today was $360. You subtract the $23 in commissions and you are left with a net profit of $336. I did take 6 trades today. I had 4 wins, 1 loss, and 1 break even. And the craziest thing about that loss is that it was an invalid trade and I wasn't supposed to be in it anyway. I remember during the stream, after I got into the trade, because there was a lot of indecision as far as whether there was going to be the buyers or the sellers, the buyers to continue or the sellers to take over, I was like, I should break even here. I don't know. Should I stay in? I'm just going to let the trade go. It actually ended up being an invalid trade for a totally different reason than I even thought, and I just wasn't paying attention to it. And when we get into the charts, I will show you that. So overall, I had a decent day, absolutely, and my week was okay as well. I don't know if I'm going to do the first week in my trade journal this week or next week. I'm not sure. Hopefully I can get around to doing it this weekend so I can put that out on Sunday. But I'll show you guys when I get into the the trading drawdown update towards the end of the video. I'll show you guys where the balance is on the account that still remains. So let's go ahead and get into the charts. And let's talk about the trades that we took today. So this is the very first trade here, just a simple trend continuation. The craziest thing about today is all of my trades except one. Let me see, was it 1 or 2? Yeah, all of my trades except one were trend continuations. Even if it was like divergence and it looks like, we're in a downtrend, but my overall trend or my overall bias is an uptrend, so it was just a deeper pullback divergence to continue the overall trend. Every single trade except one were just trend continuation setups. So that was pretty awkward because I don't think it's been a very long time since I've seen that. All right, so here's the first trade that I actually just missed. This trade, I was kind of dazed out a little bit and just, I don't know. I just wasn't really paying much attention. I remember looking at the trade as it was setting up. Part of me probably was kind of questioning the trade because the entry here was so close to this resistance level here. And as we all know, resistance can easily become support. However, in my head, once I realized no, we're going to get into this trade, I went to click the button to set the entry. And right as I was about to click the button, my reversal bar painted and it just kind of took off from there. And it took off so fast, as you can see, took off so fast I couldn't even right click the screen to even attempt to put the entry there to see if it would pull back to it. So that was one that we just missed. So then the second trade that I actually took, this one was another, just like I said, continuation, which most of them are. Traded above the resistance level for just a little bit. Not very long because these are 5-second bars, and then we just came right back below it. So the next trade here, this is one that I ended up Did I miss this one? Yeah, so this is the next one that I missed. This was a 1-bar pullback, and because I haven't seen, there's different 1-bar pullback setups that I trade. I think there's 4 if I'm not mistaken. This is one of the ones that don't set up a whole lot, so I kind of just completely forget about it. I'll literally look at it set up and I'm like, and then once it takes off, I'm just like, crap, I just missed it. So that one, as you can see, again, just kind of completely took off on me even before I could even think to get into it. All right, and so scrolling across, there was a lot of time in between my trades since I only took 6 today versus a typical 15 to 20. So there was a whole hour between the second trade that I took and the third trade. So here is the trade that was the one loss for today that was invalid. Here is why it was invalid. So as you guys can see, we have a clear double bottom here, right? And this double bottom also showed on the wrinkle bars. So when I'm trading with a start of a double bottom versus an end of a double bottom, I look for different patterns whether it's a double bottom start or a double bottom end. Those are different patterns that I look for. I took this trade based off of it being a double bottom start. I wasn't even thinking about the fact that it was a double bottom end and I'm looking for a different pattern there, because I take way more trades with a double bottom start than I do a double bottom end. So I just wasn't thinking, honestly. And as you guys can see, I paid the price for it. So then coming across, my next trade was 10 minutes later. And you can see we got into a really nice buy. The entry was right above the VWAP level, which was really nice. So I barely got any drawdown. The VWAP held the trade and we went ahead and took profit there. And it looks like it went like, like 9 points past my target. So then shortly after, I got into, this was the one and only trade that was a counter trend trade. My overall bias was an uptrend at this point. This was a 1 bar pullback there, and then this was just divergence after the 1 bar pullback. You can see that it hit the VWAP, and I think it came like 2 ticks away from hitting my take profit. So it hit the VWAP, tried to wick through it, tried to get past it, and couldn't, and just came back up, hit my break even, and then dropped from there. So now we're after 10 o'clock, which the blue lines on my chart always indicates the 10 o'clock session. And I have that on my chart because after 10 o'clock, there's like 4 of my setups that I can't trade anymore. So we created some new session highs here. So this was the first trade that I took and the only trade that I took after 10 o'clock. I remember when I was in this trade, it hit the VWAP, it pulled back, and I'm like, I don't know if the VWAP is going to be able to hold this, but it was able to hold it. It came down, put me in a little bit of drawdown, went back above the VWAP. Once it closed back above the VWAP, I felt pretty confident in it. And then we ended up going right back and creating a new session high. So after this, I just want to show you all some of the other trades that, I kind of sat out of that ended up winning. Even if it lost, I would still show you, but they ended up being wins today. So this particular trade here, this was the extension trade. So I talked about this a couple of times this week, where there are certain times where, like, let's say, perfect example here. So this was divergence going up, hit the VWAP, came down, and I think actually my entry, I don't even remember where the entry was. I feel like the entry was there, but that would be too many points. So I'm not really sure exactly where the entry was, but either way, had I got into the very first buy, I would have ended up getting stopped out. It came back below where the entry was, created a new higher low, and then finally went through the VWAP, right? So sometimes when this happens with divergence, what ends up happening is you get into the first trade, it loses because as soon as I get in, I will see that there's indecision as far as who's going to come out on top, the buyers or the sellers. I end up getting stopped out, and then the continuation or the extension happens. And so the extension and the continuations happen in various setups that I have. And so I stayed out of them this week because I wasn't quite sure which of my setups I would be okay with taking them and which ones I wouldn't. I'm only okay with taking it when it happens on divergence. That's it. So this would have been a really nice trade. Barely had any drawdown and just went straight to the take profit. And I actually would have gotten filled on that particular trade. And then there's one more. I thought there was one more. Oh no, there is not one more. So the last one that I initially had marked on the chart, I realized that's not a trade that I would like to take, only because of a specific pattern that I saw. So overall, there were 4 trades that I missed out on or just didn't take because I was like, I know I should be in it, but I'm not really sure if I want to risk it right now. And all 4 of them, if I'm not mistaken, were full wins. Yes, they were. So again, overall good session. Even with missing the trades, I still only had 1 loss, and that 1 loss was not even supposed to be taken. So let's go ahead and switch gears really quick to make sure we can end this video on time. So here is my accounts dashboard. You guys can see, again, I started this account on Monday, and you can see that I have a little bit my balance is a little bit under, what is this, $500 that I'm missing out of the having the full balance. But as far as the trail and drawdown goes, I'm missing about $700, about 620 if I'm not mistaken. So I'm really looking to get that back next week. Like I told you guys, my 50K accounts is mainly just for me to have that extra $1,000 in drawdown so that I can use those accounts as like test dummies, I guess. I was doing that while I was developing my strategy. At this point, I feel like my strategy is where I want it to be. I say that every week, and then every weekend I back test and I'm like, oh, I want to add this. Oh, I want to take this away. But I feel really good. I think that me adding really looking a little bit more in depth to the market structure and like rotational levels, because I trade with Rinko, so I always see market structure to a certain extent, but I wasn't looking at certain support and resistance levels that I should have been looking at that are still very easy to spot on my Rinkos. I think that because I scalp and I look at everything so zoomed in that I sometimes forget that even if I'm not looking 2 hours back, even if it's just 30 minutes back, there might have been a support level that is now a rotational level I need to pay attention to. So I think that adding that and also adding like the overnight highs and lows was really essential this particular week. And that's that. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you guys had a good trading week this week. Like I said, mine wasn't too horrible, but it wasn't great either. I definitely would like to do much better. And I'm definitely looking forward to next week. I hope you guys have a great weekend. Thank you guys for tuning in, and I will see you all bright and early Monday morning.